Hello and welcome to Matt's Casual Cooking. Today we are going to be making the very adult, not for children, rum cake. Very fun dish that you can make and eat. So we're going to go ahead and go over all the ingredients and let's get to it.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go over the ingredients that you're going to need. But really quickly, we are cooking with alcohol. This is a rum cake. All the alcohol will not be cooked out of the dish. You're going to get, according to the USDA, we're going to have about 35% of the alcohol left because we're going to cook it for about 30 minutes. So there's going to be some left, obviously, and plus two, we are going to have the glaze itself is going to have Bacardi in it as well. So we are going to have a fair amount of alcohol. But for your cake mixture, you need 1 cup of chopped pecans or walnuts. You need 18.5 ounces of Jell-O cake mix. You're going to need a 3 3/4 or a 3.4 ounce Jell-O vanilla instant pudding and pie filling. You need 4 eggs. You need half a cup of cold water. You need half a cup of Wesson oil, the vegetable oil. Now, if you don't have Wesson oil in your area, vegetable oil is just as good. And you're also going to need a half a cup of the Bacardi rum. And that's just for the cake. Now, for the glaze, you're going to need a 1/4 pound of butter unsalted. You need a 1/4 cup of water. You're going to need a cup of granulated sugar. You need half a cup of Bacardi rum. And then for your hardware, you're going to need a 10-inch tube or a 12-cup bunt cake. It will actually say, some of them will say cups when you go to buy them. So you'll need a 10-inch bunt cake or a 12-cup pan. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to actually spray and flour this. Do that again, Matt. Okay, now for the bunt cake with the flouring, we're just going to go ahead and do a spray. Now, you can use, I've seen where you can use melted shortening. Someone even suggested use nut flour. It's like an organic kind of gluten-free flour in this. They said they really like this. But I'm just going to give it a little spray. You don't want to really overdo this because you can see there's a lot of groups here. So you're going to have, if you use too much, you're going to have it kind of pooling on the bottom there, and that's not what we want. Kind of give it a kind of a lighter spray. That should be it. Now what we're going to do, just like with the apple cinnamon, and go ahead and take our flour. Just kind of pat it. It kind of comes down. And we don't want to let too much pool on the bottom. Also, we just want a nice layer. Maybe we'll have a little bit, but you don't want to get huge amounts. Alright, so as you can see, I've got a nice kind of thin layer. What I did here is I dumped some of the excess out. As you can see, I've got a nice layer covering kind of everything, and that's what you really do want. We don't want it necessarily too heavy, but we're going to go ahead and set this aside, and we're going to go ahead and mix the cake batter together, and we're going to get the corn. Alright, now for the batter itself, all the ingredients I mentioned for the cake, we're going to put into one bowl and actually mix it together. We're not doing this in stages. It's just going to be one shot basically. So the only thing you don't put in here though, sorry, is the pecans or walnuts that you have. So go ahead and add the rum. Oil and the water. And then go ahead and beat this together until it is smooth. And then once that's done, we're going to go ahead and put it in the bunt pan. And then actually what I'd suggest right now at this time is actually turn your oven to 350 because we want to get this going as fast as we can. Alright, so as you can see, we're mixed together pretty well. It's pretty fluidy. So we're going to go ahead and pour it in. But what we want to do first is go ahead and take your walnuts or pecans. Just put them in here. Now, you don't have to use, if you don't want to, you don't have to use a bunt cake. You could certainly use this in a regular aluminum cooking pan. You can actually use this to form, I've had this in Christmas trees and like a Easter egg before. They're really, really good. So you can form this to whatever fun treat you want to. Make sure that's as evenly distributed as possible. So go ahead and take your dough, take your batter, and just kind of start pouring. Alright, I think we got enough in there, so what we're going to do is we're going to put it down like this into the oven once it hits 350, and I know I said 30 minutes at the beginning. We're actually going to cook this for an hour, so sorry about that. So once it's done, we'll see you then. And actually before that, we're going to make the glaze, so we're going to go over that here in a minute. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go over the glaze. So what you want to do initially is you just want to melt the butter. Now once the butter is melted, we're going to go ahead and you just want to add the water and the sugar into it. So once that's done, we'll go ahead and add the water and sugar, and I'll let you know. Alright, so our butter is melted, so what you want to do is add in your water, and add in your sugar, and we're going to leave the rum out for right now, so actually this can be added last. So what we're going to do is mix this together, and if you need to turn up your stove, go ahead and do it, because we want to bring this to a boil first, and then we're going to, once that happens, we're going to want to stir it constantly for 5 minutes, and then we're going to want to remove it from the heat. Now once it's a little cool, we're going to add the rum to it and stir it in together. Alright, so as you can see, our glaze is coming together pretty nicely. It's still boiling, we're still stirring. But it's been 5 minutes, so what we want to do is take it off the heat and just put on whatever you need to. Now we're not going to put the rum on right away, because that's going to, you don't want to just pour cold water over something hot. It's not going to make it very good. So we're going to want to keep stirring. We're going to want to keep stirring here. Kind of let it cool down a little bit. Kind of give it a minute. Kind of let it rest. So we pour the rum on now. You're going to get a lot of them combining together and making little bits of glaze, which isn't really what we're looking for. And if you need to let this cool down all the way too, if that's what you feel comfortable with, be my guest, because we do want this kind of, you don't necessarily have to have this cold when we put it on, we don't necessarily want that, but we don't want it generally too hot, so just kind of keep stirring. You can see it's even getting a little wider than what it was, the glaze. definitely turning them more into like an actual topping as well. So if you want to now, go ahead and add the rum kind of slowly. Don't just dump it in there. Try to get it all around. Kind of start stirring it in together. You might get a little heat off it. That's okay. But combining nicely. It's going to seem much rummier than kind of frosting like, but that's alright. That does definitely smell fantastic, and that is what you are going to enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and get the cake out, and then we're going to go ahead and pour this over it. Alright, so right now our cake is done. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the oven. I'm going to use some oven mitts, and we're not going to set it on a tray or a cooling rack yet. We're just setting it off the heat. And we're going to let this cool for about 10 minutes. This will kind of help it. Well, we need to cool it down first before we actually put it on the serving rack and put the glaze on top of it. So we'll be back in a little bit to do that, and then we'll put the glaze on. Alright, so this has been cooling for a little over 10 minutes. And one way, if you want to try to help get it out, is just kind of take like a silicone spatula or just something silicone and just kind of press down along the sides. That should kind of help keep it from getting out. And you might get a little stickiness, but you're kind of breaking it off. So this should help get it out. Now, the only worry we have is, even with all the flour that we use, we still might get some sticking to the top. So hopefully that doesn't happen here. But it is just something to possibly happen. Set it down. Now, depending on what you're going to do, you can set this on if you're serving this right away, set it on like a serving plate or a container or whatever you're going to do with it. So we're going to go ahead, take it, and flip it over. And that kind of just came out, so that can't happen. But as you can see, you got a nice layer in here. You might have a little flour. As you can see, the walnuts are baked right into the top, and you're going to be able to smell that, and you are going to love it. So now, what we're going to do is you can do this with a spoon, like a large spoon, or if you have like a baster for the glaze. So what we want to do now, alright, so what we're going to do now is take your glaze, take a spoon, and what you're just doing is just kind of letting it kind of go, kind of scoop it up, kind of let it flow across. Now just keep doing this until the entire cake has got glaze along the top. Now we're doing this, this is to help the cake absorb the frosting. And just kind of want to move across top. You just don't want to dump everything on it once. You want to just kind of slowly do it. This will really help the flavor get on top and into the cake. Alright, so as you can see, we've used all the glaze. A lot of it is being absorbed into the cake. If you want to, just kind of take out this excess depending on what you have it on. But if you enjoyed making this and eating it, and I definitely know you will, please like, subscribe, and hit the future videos. So have a happy autumn, have a good Halloween, and see you later.